What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this, we have our 10 biggest Netherlands surprises. Before we dive in, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Let's check these surprises out.
Hey everybody, welcome to Special Spice. Today we share our 10 biggest surprises from our recent trip to the Netherlands. We'll cover topics like Dutch directness, Efteling, pronouncing Dutch words, and how Amsterdam was different than we expected. We'll also give you some spicy channel updates. So come along and let's have some fun. So before we get into our list, we wanted to say we do not claim to be experts on this topic. We're just Americans who visited the Netherlands recently.
Gotcha.
We loved it, and we just want to share from our experiences.
So one of the things that surprised us the most about the Netherlands is we knew the Efteling was going to be good, but we were not prepared for how amazing it was. We've been to over 20 theme parks across the world, and it is in our top 3 theme parks. Top 3!
Yeah, we were blown away by the quality, the theming, the rides, and in fact, Danse Macabre is in our top 10 rides we've ever ridden. It really blew us away. Another thing that surprised us in the Netherlands.
I got to watch their reaction to that theme park, and it was absolutely sensational. Like, I can't come up with the words to describe like that theme park just from watching the video. I can only imagine being there in person, but it was really amazing.
Was how we thought of Amsterdam and then what we actually saw. So we thought of Amsterdam as this party city that people go to and go crazy, and then it'd just be overflowing with tourists. And we know that that can be true, but we were there in April on weekdays, and we were mostly outside of the city center. So what we saw in Amsterdam was actually quite mellow, very livable. We saw more locals, just people living their lives, walking, biking, enjoying. So really the word mellow is what we kept coming back to. It was a lot more chill than we expected.
Another thing that surprised us was just how direct Dutch people are. And I don't mean that as a bad thing at all, especially when it comes in contrast with our American experience. Dutch people just say exactly what they mean, and they're not being rude, they're just being completely direct and to the point.
That's it.
And it's very practical and it's very useful.
That's
For
it.
example, we were filming in one of the brown cafes, one of our, what we would call a pub, and someone thought I was filming him, and he just goes, "Excuse me, could you not film me, please?" And I was like, "Oh, absolutely, don't worry, I'm not filming you, I was actually just filming the menu." But he was kind and unemotional, and it's just so refreshing, because a lot of times Americans let things build up, and then when they do respond, it's either passive aggressive or just downright aggressive and frustrated, and it's not the greatest way to communicate. So I loved how direct Dutch people were and are, and how it helps overall communication in everyday life.
Yeah.
So one more
I feel
thing.
like I could definitely appreciate Dutch directness. I think it is awesome. Now, I didn't grow up with that kind of directness. I grew up with kind of more beating around the bush, more saying things in a roundabout way. I think I do prefer that since I grew up that way. It's like, it's what I'm used to. That's what it is. It's what I'm used to, that kind of directness. I have to adjust and get used to it, but I absolutely respect it. You say what's on your mind. You don't hold back, and it's not about being rude or disrespectful at all. It's just saying how you feel. Like, so simple, but it's just not practiced here in the U.S.
That surprised us in the Netherlands was the biking. So of course we had heard how amazing the biking is in the Netherlands, and it's true. Everywhere you go, there's such amazing infrastructure. But because we were in Copenhagen recently, naturally we were comparing to Copenhagen. And what we noticed in Copenhagen is a little more density of cyclists, where if you would just stop and look at one block in a city, you would see hundreds if not thousands of cyclists in one area. Whereas in the Netherlands cities we went to, the biking was a bit more expansive, where
Hmm.
anywhere you went in the city, you would see bikers. Even in the countrysides, we were a few miles outside of Amsterdam, and
That's
still
cool.
saw a ton of bikers on a path next to the highway. So in our view, what little we saw, Copenhagen had higher density of biking, but the Netherlands cities had a more expansive biking network.
Another note about biking is that we noticed just how safe it felt to bike in the Netherlands, especially in contrast to America. No one was
Mm.
wearing helmets. Women and children were biking very freely everywhere. It just felt like you were safe, you were seen, and you were valued on the road
Yeah.
versus America, where it feels a little dangerous and you're constantly on your guard.
To add on about biking, we saw an incredible level of cooperation happening. So let me give you an example. We saw a really busy intersection during rush hour when it was a lot of cars coming through, but also a lot of bikes of cross traffic.
Yeah.
But seeing the cooperation was really amazing. It'd be a stream of bikes for a while, but then eventually a cyclist would kind of stop and be like, okay, I think it's the car's turn. And then a stream of cars would go. But there wasn't like a light or anything orchestrating it.
Really?
It was just people cooperating. So we were very impressed by that.
So this next one,
That's wild. So no light was telling them whose turn it was, but they just kind of take turns and kind of wait for. That's pretty dope. Like, shout out, bro. The Dutch are super cool. And we all know about Dutch biking. More bikes than people. I mean, nothing else needs to be said after that. But that's pretty awesome. That level of cooperation to me is incredible.
and we honestly based solely off of the comments from our videos. We noticed that there was a pattern of non-Amsterdammers who don't live in Amsterdam disliking Amsterdam. We had a lot of comments from people who lived in Amsterdam or do live in Amsterdam, how beautiful the city is and how wonderful the vlog was. And a lot of other comments from people who don't seem to live in Amsterdam, just disliking it a lot and had a lot of negative things to
Wow.
say, which is, you know, to each their own.
Yeah.
But we can relate because we live in Los Angeles and Angelinos like or love their city. I personally love our city, but non-Angelinos who don't live here really hate on us sometimes.
Before we get to our next 5
I
surprises,
think
we
it's
wanted
just, to me, I wouldn't hate on Los Angeles. Shout out Los Angeles. It's too expensive for me. That's the only thing about just being in the state of California is unaffordable for me.
to give you a quick channel update. So our Netherlands series is coming to a close soon. Unfortunately, it can't last forever. But if you enjoy our relaxed style of exploration, we want you to join us on our adventures that we have coming up. We're gonna go to Thailand in June,
Oh.
and we plan to see so much of the world out there.
One of our mottos is stay curious, stay grateful, and stay spicy. And so we just love exploring our own city and our neighborhoods that are near and dear to us. And we hope you come along and have some fun with us
For
on
sure.
those adventures as well.
Love that.
Another surprise
Love that
was
so
how
much.
often we found ourselves riding buses. So usually when we're in Europe, it's almost exclusively trains that we're riding. But we
Okay.
noticed in the Netherlands, often the quickest route from A to B involved a bus. And that's not a complaint. I personally love riding buses. And we love the system how we could just tap our Google Wallet, basically
Yeah.
our phone wallet, on the bus. So we didn't have to have some sort of unique card or
Easy.
some sort of system that we didn't already have. So we liked riding the buses, and it gave us a chance with the huge windows to look around and see the sights.
Something else that surprised us was just how many Dutch people spoke English with a very American accent, particularly a West Coast or California accent. We
Really?
had so many instances where we had a waiter or a bartender interact with us and speak to us in English, and we were thinking, oh my gosh, a Californian who moved to the Netherlands. And then when we asked where they were from, they were like, here, born and raised. And we were like, what? And so we started to catch on that a lot of English in the Netherlands is spoken with like the nuances and the sounds that we use here on the West Coast, particularly California.
Another surprise was just how good the IPA beers were.
So you talk
So-
about the bus, and then you talk about the pronunciations and the English and the way everybody speaks. To have good public transport is, I feel like, always a positive. Like that's a great, and I guess in the Netherlands it was more about buses than about trains. But either way, the public transport great. All you gotta do is tap your phone. Ain't gotta do nothing else. That's pretty awesome.
So, as we mentioned, we're West Coast
IPA.
Americans, and we do think the IPAs are really good in California in particular. And when we travel the world, there's decent ones out there, but usually they, for us, don't quite compare. But in the Netherlands, when we would order IPAs, they were delicious. Some of the best we've had anywhere in the world. Also, in
Really?
California, we never order blonde beers because they tend to be a bit bland and just not near as tasty as something like an IPA. But in the Netherlands, we quickly caught on that that's probably one of their best tasting beers there. The blondes that we ordered were amazing and exquisite.
One other surprise was just how difficult it is to pronounce Dutch words for us. And the Dutch language just really threw me and Tyler for a loop because oftentimes they would say ooh where we would say oh, and they would say oh where we would say ooh. And I love languages. We speak a lot more Spanish here in Los Angeles, and I'm Filipino, so I speak a lot of Tagalog. And a lot of the letters and the sounds that certain letters make do not correlate to the same sounds in Dutch. And so my brain was just kind of twisting and turning. And oftentimes we also, when we travel, don't use our phones to get around everywhere with data and everything. So we didn't get to check the pronunciation for all the words. So we tried our best, and it was a toughie, but we got through it.
That's
Another big
cool.
surprise for us was for
I
Amsterdam.
don't know about IPAs. I don't drink beer. I've never liked IPAs. The only kind of beer I like is light beer because I'm not really a beer drinker like it. Don't like the stuff. And I don't necessarily like light beers. It's just the one that I can tolerate most. Uh, but it's cool to know that there's some good IPAs out there in the Netherlands.
Being a metropolitan area of 2.5 million people, how not sprawling it was compared to
Mhm.
American cities.
What do you
So,
mean?
for an American city of 2.5 million, you
Yeah.
could probably drive through it. Like the city would just keep going and going
Yeah.
for, I don't know,
Oh,
20,
wow.
25 minutes that you're driving through it. But when we were leaving in the center of Amsterdam on a bus to go towards Haarlem, it felt very quick that the city just
Mm.
ended, and then it was farms and nature, and then Harlem. American sprawl is no joke. We live in Los Angeles, where you can drive through LA for like 2 hours, but we just didn't see as much sprawl over there. Thank you so much for joining us for our 10 most surprising things to us about the Netherlands. We had an amazing time on our trip to the Netherlands, and we had a blast making these vlogs. These were actually our first travel vlogs we've ever made,
That's so cool.
but it was so cool to see a lot of people watching them and enjoying the trip with us.
We're just so grateful that you have decided to join us on our adventures and continue to, and we hope you come along with us to our Thailand trip, which is up next, as well as planning our next big trip in November, which is also going to be a mystery to us because we haven't picked it yet. Tell us in the comments what country you think we should go see in November. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
And remember to stay curious and stay grateful.
Stay spicy, my friends.
Okay.
I definitely want to tune in for more of their travels. They seem like a really good couple, very entertaining couple. Like absolutely love them. I guess it's more spread out and everything here in the U.S. just because there's more space and where cities are more condensed in the Netherlands because it's a densely populated country, and so you're gonna pass by cities more quick because they're more condensed. That's all we have. If you guys enjoyed, please don't forget to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, check out the next. See y'all next time.